Good morning. I would like to call this session to order, and I would like to invite the delegates to take your seats. Thank you very much. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to declare open the 5th session of the Intergovernmental Negotiating Committee to develop an international legally binding instrument on plastic pollution, including the marine environment. Your Excellency, Mr. Woon Suk Yeol, President of the Republic of Korea, Mr. Kim Won-sup, Minister of Environment of the Republic of Korea, His Excellency, Mr. Chung Won-sik, Ambassador for Climate and Environment of the Republic of Korea, Ms. Inger Andersen, Executive Director of UNEP, Ms. Jyoti Mathur-Philip, Executive Secretary of the INC, esteemed Minister, delegates, representative of observers delegations, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you all to this pivotal gathering of our planet, people, and shared future. It is an honor to address such a distinguished assembly representing 178 nations, 30 international agencies, and 576 observers organizations from across the globe. I share mission unite us, that is to confront the global plastic pollution crisis. Allow me to begin by expressing my deepest gratitude to the President of the Republic of Korea and to the people of the Republic of Korea for graciously hosting the 5th session of the Intergovernmental Negotiating Committee to develop an international legally binding instrument on plastic pollution, including the marine environment. The generosity of the Korean people and the inspiring maritime landscape surrounding us have set an optimal framework for us to work productively. Together, we aim to achieve what I dare to call a historic milestone. Distinguished delegates, dear friends, we are here today because plastic pollution is not just an unsightly nuisance, but an urgent and insidious threat to ecosystems, economies, and human health. The magnitude of the crisis is evident and underscores the urgency of our mission. Let me mention 3 facts that illustrate this. Without significant intervention, the amount of plastic entering the environment annually by 2040 is expected to nearly double compared to 2022. Plastics are highly durable. Depending on environmental conditions, they can decompose in between 100 and 1,000 years or even more. Microplastics have been detected in various human organs, raising concerns about potential health risks, including cancer and reproductive issues. As we can see, This conference is about far more than drafting an international treaty. It is about humanity racing to meet an existential challenge. The decisions we make in the next 7 days will shape history. Let us work with precision and diligence, but always maintain sight of the urgency. Pragmatism demands that we will build bridges founding united aims, our diversity, yes, in positions and perspectives, but we need to work hard and we need to work united. Urgency compels us to act with determination. The world is watching us, and we must not falter. This is a member-driven process. As representatives of nations, we hold the power to make this treaty a transformative tool to end plastic pollution, or to let this opportunity slip into history as unfulfilled promise. But we are not alone. Look around this room. Observers from environmental organizations, international agencies, the scientific community, academia, private sector, civil society, indigenous people, and the list goes on and on, are here with us. Your expertise, evidence, ideas, and relentless advocacy enrich our work. Your presence reminds us that this is not just a political negotiation, but a collective effort transcending borders, sectors, and generations. I'm optimistic, not because I believe in miracles, but because I believe in the power of human actions, hard work, and collective will. We are not starting from scratch. 4 previous meetings, our 4 previous sessions, support by countless regional discussions and technical exchange, have built a solid foundation. Achieving a common understanding is possible, but it requires relentless effort, unwavering commitment, and bold political will. We have 7 days to face multi-phase tasks, and in these days we will dedicate here in plenary and in our work in the contact groups our best effort. That leaves us little time to waste. It's only 7 days. You have heard me, 63 hours of work. We need to use and benefit from each hour, each minute of those 63 hours. We must remain focused on the mandate we set for ourselves at UNEA 5.2 and the moral responsibility entrusted to us. Let us be candid. Differences remain on several issues. Yet, I ask whether anyone in this room has advocated for more plastic pollution. None of us. No, none of us has done that. On the contrary, there is universal acknowledgement that this is a problem we must solve together proactively. The voices of the world are clear. We need healthier meals free from microplastics. We need clean air, oceans, and forests. We need safe, non-toxic plastic products. We need innovation, circularity, and collaboration to replace harmful plastics. Let us harness every tool of multilateralism, every ounce of creativity, and every moment of dialogue to overcome our differences and craft a treaty as ambitious as our collective will allows. We must fulfill the mandate of UNEA 5.2 and respond to humanity's urgent call. This is our moment to act with courage, determination, and optimism. Together, we can end plastic pollution and leave a legacy to hope for our planet and future generations. I thank you very much. It is now my pleasure to invite Ms. Inger Anderson, Undersecretary General and Executive Director of the United Nations Environment Programme, to deliver her opening remarks. Madam Executive Director, you have the floor.
Thank you very much and good morning. Let me begin by greeting Ambassador His Excellency Cho Hong-sik, the Ambassador for Environment and Climate here in beautiful Korea, and of course Minister Kim Won-suk, who is the Minister for Environment. Through you, to the people and the government of Korea and the people of Busan, we send our deep thanks. We also, of course, send our thanks for the wonderful hospitality with which we have been received. And let me also not forget to greet and sincerely thank our strong chair who has been with us from these last two INCs with absolute determination. We are very grateful for your leadership. And of course, my sister in arms, Jyoti Mathur Philip. Let me say that as we thank our Republic of Korea host and the city of Busan, as we gather here in the 5th round of negotiations on a legally binding instrument to end plastic pollution. And it may not have struck you, but today actually marks the historic 1,000 days, exactly 1,000 days, since we saw the historic gaveling of the UNEA resolution lighting these negotiations. As some other multilateral deals were decades in the making, this marks very good progress, 1,000 days. But plastic pollution operates on a different timescale. Some plastics can take up to 1,000 years to decompose, and even then, they break into ever smaller particles that persist, pervade, and pollute. This pollution is harming natural systems and the species on which we depend, making it harder to adapt to climate change, damaging ecosystem resilience, blocking drainage in cities, and also, very likely, harming human health. And growth in plastic pollution is emitting more greenhouse gases, pushing us further into climate disaster. That is why public and political pressure for action has risen into a crescendo. Waste pickers, civil society groups are fully engaged. Businesses are calling for global rules to guide this future. Indigenous people are speaking out. Scientists are calling out the science. The finance sector is beginning to make the moves. At the international level, there's also been clear signals that a deal is essential, including the G20 declaration last week, which said that G20 leaders were determined to land this treaty by the end of the year. And we at UNEP have received letters from thousands of children across Kenya, our headquarters, and the place where this instrument was conceived. And I'm going to read just one from Miles Kariuki, who says, and I quote, "Since this plastic pollution spreads, we will not have food. Fish are eating plastic. Our parents won't have the money to pay our school fees. Please help us." This is what Miles Kariuki said in his letter, with a beautiful drawing to boot. Essentially, in his community, the fish catch has gone down due to plastic in the nets, and people's lives are impacted. Now, here in Busan, we have reached the moment of truth for children like Miles and people all over the world. This is your chance to craft an agreement for the ages, one that could deliver 1,000 years free from plastic, one that at the end of this week, the gavel must come down, because this is what we need to see on an instrument that represents an ambitious starting point. Not everything will be as detailed as you would wish, maybe, but the broad contours and the strokes must be there. So friends, when I look beyond the fog of negotiations, when I reflect on this 1,000 days and consider what we have learned over the 7 decades of agreeing treaties, I see 3 interrelated buckets of provisions deriving from the chair's non-paper. In the first bucket, there are provisions that are informed by strong precedents in other environmental treaties. These include provisions on compliance, on national plans, on reporting, on effective evaluation and monitoring, on information exchange, on education and research, on establishing a conference of parties, including the ability, obviously, to establish subsidiary bodies. Now, slight differences of opinion should not stand in the way of making rapid progress on these areas. Let's agree on these quickly so that we can address the more critical issue. That's bucket one. In the second bucket, there are provisions around which, despite convergence, member states appear to be keen to deepen discussions. These are key obligations, and they include obligations like product design, emissions and releases, waste management, dealing with legacy pollution, just transition, capacity building, technology assistance, and technology transfer. Final provisions. Similarly, let's be clear. Let's focus on that which can bring us together so that these provisions can be nailed and nailed fast. But in the third bucket, there are provisions that will require significant reflections and work to resolve, and therefore require serious attention during the course of this week. These are the three provisions that are yet to be outlined in the Chair's paper. The first unresolved issue is around plastic products and chemicals. Now, we can all agree that there are some chemicals we don't want in our food, in our homes, in our bodies, in the bodies of our babies and children and our loved ones. And some of these are known and listed in some global settings, others are not. There's a clear opening here to list the obvious harmful chemicals that are close to the things that we need, and then to establish a process for listing other things as they may emerge or are yet to be identified. And further, are there specific items we can live without? Those that very often leak into the environment? Are there alternatives to these? This is an issue we have to agree on. As I've said from the start, we can begin that discussion on that which is single-use and short-lived while understanding the different circumstances across the rainbow of nations. That's the first unresolved issue on which I invite everyone to focus and come together. The second unresolved issue is around supply. Here I go back to the UNEA resolution. The UNEA resolution calls for sustainable production and consumption of plastics, taking a life cycle approach. This obviously takes inspiration from SDG 12 that addresses that very consumption and production and sustainability. My plea here is to use this aspect of the UNEA resolution as your guiding star, while recognizing that national plans and reporting will offer a critical tool for parties to ensure adherence to the agreements that you may strike. And the third issue is around finance. Financing is central to multilateral environmental agreements. We all know that. And we just saw how important this issue is to many countries in the just concluding climate talks. The UNEA resolutions clearly provides you with guidance. It states that parties should consider the establishment of, and I quote, a financial mechanism to support the implementation of the instrument, including the option of a dedicated multilateral fund, unquote. That is what the UNEA resolution instructed you to do. My plea is that you craft text that responds to the resolution in this regard and outline the broad contours of how this mechanism will work. That's the third issue on which I ask for your focus. So there's much ground to cover this week. I urge you to give the Chair your full support. Move fast when you can. Leave the corner solutions behind. Negotiate in good faith, as I know you will do. Focus on what is important and urgent, because the details will come later, some of the details, but don't lower the bar so that the treaty becomes meaningless. Friends, allow me to remind you that we need to think beyond the negotiating process. The UNEA resolution requested the executive director to convene a diplomatic conference to adopt the instrument and open it for signature. I have encouraged the 4 countries that put together 3 bids before us to find a consensus on this matter so that we can move forward. Distinguished participants and friends, as we heard from the chair, not a single person on this planet wants to witness plastic litter in green spaces, on their streets, or washing up on their shores. Not a single person wants chemical-laced plastic particles in their bloodstream or their organs or in their unborn babies. The people who depend on sifting through plastic waste, the waste pickers, for a living, would rather do so under decent, safe, and well-paid conditions. So, the world wants an end to plastic pollution. The world needs an end to plastic pollution. And I ask you to deliver this instrument this week that puts us on the road for just that, for thousands of days, months, and years to come. Thank you.
I thank so much the Executive Director of UNEP for her remarks. It is my great pleasure that I invite now the committee to view a video message from His Excellency Yoon Suk Yeol, President of the Republic of Korea, our host country. I would like the technicians, please, you could play the video. Thank you.
바야스 의장님, 안데르센 사무총장님, 그리고 각국 대표단과 국내외 주요 관계자 여러분, UN 플라스틱 협약 제5차 정부 간 협상위원회 회의 개최를 매우 뜻깊게 생각하며 글로벌 허브 도시 부산을 찾으신 여러분을 진심으로 환영합니다. 인류가 플라스틱의 편의성에 과도하게 의존하면서 플라스틱 폐기물이 기하급수적으로 늘었고 장기간 해양과 하천에 축적된 폐기물들이 미래 세대의 삶까지 위협하고 있습니다. 이러한 플라스틱 오염 문제를 다루기 위해 우리는 2년 전 UN 환경총회에서 법적 구속력 있는 국제협약을 만들기로 합의했습니다. 그간 4차례 회의를 거치며 플라스틱의 전 주기를 다루는 효과적이고 이행 가능한 협약을 만들기 위해 노력해 왔습니다. 글로벌 플라스틱 오염 문제 해결은 더 이상 미룰 수 없는 인류 공동의 과제입니다. 이번 마지막 5차 협상에서 우리의 정치적 의지를 결집시켜 협약을 성안시키는 것이 무엇보다 중요합니다. 대한민국은 글로벌 중추국가로서 플라스틱 오염 문제를 비롯한 환경 이슈에 적극 대응하고 있습니다. 이미 20년 전부터 생산자 책임 재활용 제도를 운영하여 플라스틱을 포함한 각종 폐기물을 줄이고 재활용률을 높이는 데 힘쓰고 있습니다. 또한 올해부터 순환경제사회 전환 촉진법을 시행해서 자원순환 체계 구축을 위한 제도적 기반을 한층 강화했습니다. 우리 정부는 이러한 자원순환 정책 경험을 국제사회와 공유하고 그린 ODA를 적극적으로 늘려서 대한민국의 글로벌 녹색 사다리 역할을 더욱 확장할 것입니다. 내외 귀빈 여러분, 국제사회는 지금 다양한 글로벌 복합 위기에 직면해 있습니다. 이번 협상회의에서 우리가 UN 플라스틱 협약을 탄생시킨다면 국제사회가 힘을 모아 어떠한 도전도 함께 극복해낼 수 있다는 희망과 용기의 상징이 될 것입니다. 앞으로 일주일간 모든 회원국들이 미래 세대를 위한 책임감과 강력한 연대를 바탕으로 플라스틱 협약 성안이라는 역사의 새로운 장을 함께 열 수 있기를 기대합니다. 감사합니다.
I thank the President of the Republic of Korea for his inspiring remarks. Next, I'm pleased to invite the committee to view a video message from His Excellency Cho Tae-yul, Minister for Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Korea. I would like also the technicians, please, to play the video.
Ambassador Vyas, Chair of the Intergovernmental Negotiating Committee, Madame Anderson, Executive Director of UNEP, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Government of the Republic of Korea, I warmly welcome you all to the 5th session of the Intergovernmental Negotiating Committee here in the beautiful city of Busan. It is both an honor and a privilege for the Republic of Korea to host delegates and participants from all of the UN member states as well as stakeholders in Busan for the 5th and final session of the negotiations on the Global Plastics Treaty. Over the past 2 years, significant efforts have been made to establish a shared understanding of the measures needed to tackle plastic pollution. These measures range from phasing out problematic plastic products and enhancing product design for recyclability to establishing effective waste management systems. While differences in perspectives remain, I firmly believe that they are challenges we can overcome. As a recent OECD report highlights, implementing robust policies across the plastics life cycle can eliminate plastic leakage into the environment at a manageable economic cost. What is needed is the political will to do what is both possible and necessary for the health and well-being of the generations to come. For Korea's part, we stand firmly in support of a legally binding agreement addressing the full life cycle of plastics from production and consumption to waste management. We are fully prepared to work with all the delegates here toward a treaty that is actionable, grounded in scientific evidence, and adaptable to diverse national contexts. Let us keep in mind the words of former UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, and I quote, "We are the last generation that can prevent irreparable damage to our planet," unquote. Our negotiations are not solely about policies and treaties. They are about protecting our planet and preserving human health for our generations. Thank you for your commitment and for being a part of this essential work. Let us make Busan a milestone in our journey to end plastic pollution.
I thank the Minister for Foreign Affairs for his remarks. Next, I'm pleased to invite His Excellency Kim Wan-suk, Minister of Environment of the Republic of Korea, to deliver his remarks. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, everybody. Excellencies and distinguished delegates and ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Busan, and thank you for joining us at the 5th session of INC. As a Minister of Environment and host of INC 5, it is an honor to join you here as we take on the critical task of addressing the global plastic pollution. This session is truly a defining moment that will determine the trajectory of global plastic policies for decades to come. We gather here not solely as representatives of our own respective nations, but as guardians of our shared environment with the responsibility to complete the instrument on plastic pollution that will mark a turning point in our effort to combat plastic pollution. The health of our planet and future generations depends on what we accomplish here. Completing this instrument at INC 5 is a shared objective, and we must approach it with focus and determination. I extend my deep gratitude to INC Chair, the Bureau, and the Secretariat for their exceptional effort throughout this process. Their leadership, especially during the intersessional period, has prepared us well for the discussions ahead. The non-paper and various meetings have been also crucial in aligning our understanding and advancing our dialogue. Now it is time for member states to build these efforts and deliver an agreement. To achieve this, we must demonstrate flexibility, make compromises, and find common ground to ensure a result we can all be proud of for future generations. Let us take a moment to recall the unity and vision we demonstrated at the UN Environmental Assembly in 2022. UNEA Resolution 5/14 was a landmark accomplishment in environmental multilateralism, and it demonstrated to the world what we can achieve when we work together. Also, through the G20 Rio Leaders' Declaration, we reaffirmed our collective commitment to conclude negotiations by end of this year here in Busan. Now we have the responsibility to carry that momentum forward and make history once again. Korea stands ready to support you. Let's seize this opportunity to make INC 5 a lasting success and milestone in our fight against plastic pollution. We must end plastic pollution before plastic pollution ends us. Thank you.
I thank the Minister of Environment for his remarks. Next, I would like to invite our Executive Secretary, Ms. Jyoti Mathur-Philip, to provide her opening remarks. Executive Secretary, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Ambassador Luis Valles, Chair of the INC, Ms. Anderson, Executive Director of the United Nations Environment Programme, Your Excellency, Ambassador of Climate and Environment, Mr. Cho Hong-sik, Your Excellency, Minister of Environment, Mr. Wansam Kim, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, it is an honor to welcome you at this 5th session of the Intergovernmental Negotiating Committee on Plastic Pollution. Allow me to start by expressing my sincere gratitude to the Republic of Korea for hosting us for INC 5. I would also like to express my deep appreciation to the city of Busan and its people for welcoming us so warmly here. We have come a long way since the adoption of UNEA Resolution 514 in 2022. It is through courage and determination and the strong community we have built together that we have reached this pivotal moment in just 2 ambitious years. Together, these same qualities will carry us across the finish line here in Busan. I'm deeply grateful to the members of the committee for your steadfast commitment to meeting this ambitious timeline. My thanks also goes to observer organizations whose continued engagement, knowledge, and expertise further underscore the vital role of inclusive environmental multilateralism. I further extend my deep gratitude to the chair of the INC for his leadership throughout this mandate and since taking over the mantle at INC 3 in Nairobi last year, a year ago actually now, and of course to his team too. Finally, I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge with greatest appreciation the donors whose generous voluntary contributions have been indispensable to the work of the INC and its sessions, which also includes all the intersessional work and the heads of delegation meetings we have done intersessionally. Our thanks go to the governments of Australia, Austria, Belgium, Canada, Denmark, Finland, France, Germany, Ireland, Japan, Monaco, the Netherlands, New Zealand, Norway, Portugal, the Republic of Korea, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, the United Kingdom, the United States of America, and to the European Commission. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, the momentum and dedication has been remarkable. We have arrived here in Busan with over 3,800 registered participants for this session. The world is placing their trust on all of us to deliver. Once again, I'm proud to say that the INC Secretariat has brought together an experienced team from many different UNEP divisions, multilateral environment agreements, and of course, conference services and UN security teams to support this session, alongside my wonderful colleagues of the INC Secretariat. On this note, may I also remind you that the UN Code of Conduct applies to all UN meetings, and you will find this code available on the INC website. The success of these negotiations will directly shape the world we live in, now and in the future, because once the ink is dry, words must be followed by action, and we should all have our eyes on this instrument's implementation. As always, you have my full support and that of my team over these 7 days to ensure that your negotiations are focused, productive, and inclusive. The world is watching us, and we all know the expectations for this session are great. So let me end by echoing the words of the Executive Director and the Chair. Let's get it done. Thank you.
Thank you to our Executive Secretary, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, I would like to voice my appreciation to Ms. Asha Challenger for her work as the rapporteur in our process. With this, I would like to close this opening segment, and please allow us a 5-minute break for our dignitaries to leave the podium, but distinguished delegates, please remain seated. Thank you. Distinguished delegates, please take your seats. Distinguished delegates, this is our final session, INC 5. I'm sure you are all eager to move into the substance of negotiations. For this reason, and as we have done our previous sessions, I invite regional groups and groups of members and individual members to submit their opening statements in writing only by self-uploading them on the INC document platform. Further, I remind delegates that there will be an opportunity for regional groups or groups of members to provide focus and group statements under Agenda Item 4. I invite delegations to submit individual national statements in writing only by self-uploading them on the INC in-session document platform so that they might be posted on the in-session's website. I will highlight this again when I outlined the suggested organization of work under Agenda Item 3C. Before we proceed to the next agenda item, I would like to invite the Secretariat to provide some logistic information. Secretariat, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Distinguished delegates, delegates may follow the plenary proceedings projected on the screen in room 205, located on the second floor in English only, or via the live stream on UN Web TV. The links to access the live streams are available on the INC5 website. Next, I would like to provide a short remark on the use of the microphones on the plenary floor. To request the floor, please press the button on the microphone once. The light will turn green. When the chair gives you the floor, the technician will turn on your microphone and the light will turn red. Please speak slowly and clearly to assist the interpreters. As outlined in the chair's scenario note, oral statements under Agenda Item 4 delivered on behalf of a regional group or a group of members will be limited to 5 minutes each. Time permitting, observers speaking on behalf of alliances, coalitions, and groups may be given the floor after interventions from groups of members, and statements from observers will be limited to 2 minutes each. A timer will be embedded in the projected image. Delegates are requested to keep within the assigned time when taking the floor and to speak clearly and slowly to facilitate the work of the interpreters. Delegations wishing to make an intervention in plenary are kindly urged to send their statement via email to unep-incplastic.statements@un.org, well in advance of delivery to assist the interpretation service. Delegations are further kindly requested to self-upload their statements in PDF format to the in-session documents platform so that they may be published on the INC website. Guidance on the use of the platform is available in the instruction manual previously shared with delegations. Please be reminded that observer interventions will be at the discretion of the chair, time permitting. Seating for observers in plenary will be available on a first-come, first-served basis. Therefore, observers are kindly requested to coordinate amongst themselves so that those who would like to speak are given priority to access the plenary floor to deliver their statement. For time efficiency, observers are encouraged to deliver joint statements on behalf of alliances, coalitions, and groups. We will be operating a dedicated queuing system for observer interventions using a QR code. Instructions on how to use this system have been made available on the dedicated observer seats. Meeting documents are available on the INC 5 webpage. A provisional program and live daily schedule is accessible on the INC website. Delegates are also invited to consult the electronic screens on each floor inside the venue for latest updates and important announcements. Regional groups and groups of members have the opportunity to hold their daily meetings between 8 and 10 a.m. Room numbers are provided on the screens in the venue. Please inform the Secretariat with at least 2 hours advance notice via email should you require a room at any additional time.